Okay, we are on the last topic on exceptions, and that is the finally clause. So we covered try catch block in quite a lot of detail, but there's one thing which I left out. It is called the finally clause. Generally, we try to do something which works except when something goes wrong, but finally we do things that always need to get done. This is exactly how the entire try except finally block works. Try to do something which works most times except when something goes wrong, but finally we do things that always need to get done. In the try clause, all statements are executed till an exception occurs. When that happens, the except clause is used to catch and handle the exception. The finally enables us to execute code that should always run with or without any previous encountered exceptions. The finally will always run. Let me take an example. Let us say we use a program to read a file. The first time everything goes fine and we finish reading the file, and finally we close the file, right? Second time we read the file. Something goes wrong when we read the file. We handle that and finally we close the file. The closing of the file finally needs to happen whether all is well or if things go wrong. That is the concept of finally. I'm actually going to show you code for the example which I talked about. I'm not going to explain the details of opening the file, etc., because that's not the point of the example. Handling files is something you can learn later. I am using the file example because it's perfect for finally. The file which is opened needs to be closed no matter what happens, right? Whether there is some problem with reading the contents or not, you have to close the file. Similarly, another example would be a connection to the database once opened must be closed no matter what happens. Such examples are perfect to explain finally. So let us check out the code. I will first be creating the file which you want to read. Let me call it the file.txt. It's not a very creative name, I understand, but I think it serves a purpose. I'm just going to add some content, some random values, and we'll move forward to the actual code. Now we have the file ready for reading. Let us actually write the program for reading the file. I am going to write out the entire code first and then I'll explain every line. Now it's time to explain the program, right? So we start with the try. because typically opening a file is things can go wrong, right? The file may not exist and all that stuff. So you always put file handling in a try except block. Obviously here I have the file, so those exceptions won't come, but I will introduce a different kind of exception which I will cause, so that I can explain my concepts or the thoughts which I have, right? So I started the try block, then I open a file. Simple, right? That's Python for you. So I open the file and now I have a handle to the file. Now once I have the handle to the file, I can start reading it, right? So before I start reading, I just do some warm up. I put some messages to the user so that they can understand that I'm reading the file and all that stuff, right? And in order to read the file, you typically read line by line. So therefore, I create a simple while loop, while infinite loop, and I'll use break to get out of it. So this is a while endless loop and breakout once done. This is the line where I am reading the file line by line. This file object, if I do just read line, a line will be read and that is assigned here. Simple, very easy, just like Python. Then I check whether what is the length of the line. Now once the last line is read, there is no more content. So Python will read the next line and it will give me that there is no content. Then that will cause the length to be 0, right? And at that point I will break. Remember, this is not a foolproof program. It will work for this example, but file reading, you will have to handle multiple scenarios. So this works for now, and that's all I require for my example. Now that I have read that line, I need to print it so that the user can see, right? So I'm printing it using the print, and I change the end, right? Because I want to, otherwise what happens is it automatically adds an extra line, which I don't want, right? So already the read line would have read a line and that is a line in itself. So I just want to print and don't want to add an extra line with the print statement. So I put end as empty string. Now the while loop keeps on going. Once it finds there is no content, it breaks. Now I have put a except here. This except block, exception handler, is looking for a specific kind of error exception called keyboard interrupt. This is basically, so in any program, in any OS, generally there is a concept of interrupts, right? You can, when a program is run through the OS, you can send an interruption, some kind of a signal to ask it to stop. So Python allows you to catch that signal and handle it. So in my case, the way I can send this particular interrupt to the program is by pressing Ctrl and C together, right? This pretty much works in all OSs, right? And what this program will do is when that particular signal interrupt comes through, it will catch it and it will print. So immediately it will break. So it is somewhere here. That particular exception comes from the Python system itself, right? The interrupt, that particular exception is thrown by the Python runtime. So that is caught by this program. Immediately this go to the except block and then it will print this and the finally will close the file, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm first going to run it normally and see what happens without any exception case. Done, finish reading the file, right? So the entire file is read, and once it is done, the file is read, we actually see the finally this particular print statement is coming from the finally block, clean up, close the file, right? So this is clean up. So once the entire file is read, these are all, if you remember the file, so it's how are you doing there, that's where the file ends. And once it's completely read, you get empty, so it will break and the finally is executed, file is closed, and this particular cleanup close the file comes here, right? So great. Now let us try to create the exceptional scenario. So actually you can see I am not able to, I am not fast enough. The entire file reading is completed here, right? There is some other information coming here that is not really a problem. So looks like I need to do something so that I can actually cause this control C to work, right? In order to get the interrupt to actually go, I probably have to make the program a little slower. So there are two things I could do. I could actually add a lot more text into the file, this file, which we already seen. I could add a lot more text, and that will take more time, and we can probably get the program to run longer. But it means that I have to put a lot of text here, and the output will be lengthy, so it's more problematic. The other way is to simulate some kind of delay in reading the file. The second idea seems a little bit of fun, and I'll show you this. I will simulate a delay by using the sleep function inside the time module. What this does is it will make the program sleep for whatever time, say a couple of seconds. That is what I'll do right in between doing the actual work. So it will read and then sleep for some time, read again, that kind of stuff, right? So because it's going to be slow this way, because of this, I should be able to send the interrupt before the program finishes. Remember, in a real program, you will rarely want to add sleep because it is just going to slow down the program, right? And it is slowing down and it's not doing any work. Who will want a worker to sleep, right? So programs does work and we don't want workers to sleep. But for learning purposes, it comes in handy. There could be other reasons too, but they don't apply here. So primarily I am going to add sleep to show you this exception case by sending the interrupt and see how the block works. So let me add the sleep now. So after reading one line, I will just sleep to slow things down. So I imported time. We need to import the module obviously, and then I am calling time dot sleep. 2 refers to the 2 seconds. So after reading every line, it will sleep for 2 seconds. Read the next line. So that should be giving us enough time. Now we will try to do the control C interrupt. So read one line. So I read one line, and then you see that the control C came through, and as soon as you got control C, okay, so here I put this. I actually wanted to put this. So let me just run it again. Great. So here you see we read 2 lines. The control C came. This is the interrupt in action. As soon as the interrupt came into existence, the try block sort of gave up. The except block started. So you stopped reading the file, right? And then you finally see cleanup, close the file, which is the finally block, right? So Even when exception happened, the finally block got executed. The finally block is always executed, and therefore it comes in very handy. So whenever you have to do any kind of cleanup, or like working with files or any other thing, so you will always use finally. Now, when you eventually start working with files, you will find that there are other mechanisms to make your life easy with. They are called context managers, and I'm not going to cover them. They are for some other time. That's it. We are done. We are done with everything we need to learn about exceptions. We covered errors and error handling. There are more things to learn in both exceptions and error handling. Like one of them is to create your own exception type or class you can create. But that is not required as part of this basic course. I'm not going to cover it. At some point in your Python journey, you will surely learn and use that too. For now, you have learned whatever you need to, and that should leave you in good state, right? Stand you in good state. Thanks. Until next time, goodbye. I learn. Any questions, any doubts you have, use the comments and I will try to respond to all of them. Sayonara. Bye. Catch you way down the line.